In this tutorial, we will cover how to complete Human Participants Form 4. The Human Participants Form 4 comes in two parts. The first page is required for all research involving human participants. The Institutional Review Board must approve the student's research plan and their surveys before experimentation occurs. This form is fairly simple for the student in that it asks for the student name, title of the project, teacher or adult sponsor name, and the teacher's phone or email. Next, the form asks a series of questions that must be completed by the student researcher in collaboration with the teacher or adult sponsor, designated supervisor, or qualified scientist. It asks if the student submitted the research plan, which addresses all areas indicated in the human participant section of the research plan instructions. It asks if the student has attached any surveys or questionnaires. It also asks if the student is using any published instruments, which are usually validated questionnaires or attitudinal surveys, and if they were legally obtained. Number 3, it's asking if the student has attached an informed consent form. That is part 2 of this form. Question 4 is asking if the student is working with a qualified science or designated supervisor. If so, it's reminding you here that Form 2 and 3 are both required if the student is working with a qualified scientist or designated supervisor. This would be a potentially hazardous behavior or process under the Form 3. This section here is for the Institutional Review Board use only. The student does not need to complete any of this. But this is all of the work that will be completed prior to the student's experimentation, and this is why the student must submit this by December 18th to the Boston Public Schools Science Department. Page 2 of the consent form 4 of Form 4 is the consent form. It's required for all human participants, and it will have to be filled out the same for every participant in the study. Student researcher name at the top, title of the project. This is basically asking permission of any human involved in the study if they voluntarily are participating, and this is their informed consent. The purpose of the project must be explicitly detailed. Question 2 is asking if someone participates, what will they be asked to do? It has to be very clear if they're taking a survey or a test. They should give an estimate of the time required, the potential risk of the study, and the teacher or designated supervisor should work on this portion with the student. Potential risks for the study could be feeling uncomfortable or doing better on a test, depending on what the nature of the student's work is. And the doing better on the test would be here under benefits. And how will the student maintain confidentiality? Will they use ID numbers? What will they do to keep all of the personal information about each individual private and confidential? Again, this is where the teacher or adult sponsor, qualified scientist, or designated supervisor puts their name, phone, and email. And then the bottom portion is just indicating that this is voluntary participation. And here's where the adult informed consent or minor assent is listed. And then the parental guardian would sign here for their son or daughter. And that's how we would work on Human Subjects Form 4.